Hello, my name is Joshua Hinkle, and before I was a student at Carl Sandburg College, I served 15 years in the United States Army. I deployed several times before I was medically discharged after I was injured in the line of duty. Before I get started, I would like to direct your attention to this sign. If you or a veteran you know is currently contemplating suicide, please contact the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255 and press 1. If you are a non-veteran and you accidentally dial this number in distress, they will absolutely help you. Approximately 111,000 veterans have committed suicide since 2001. To put that another way, if you combined all the casualties in all of the wars since Korea in 1950, you will only come to approximately 100,000 souls that have been lost in combat. That is including Korea, Vietnam, 9/11, the Persian Gulf, Afghanistan, and Iraq. That number is 100,000 approximately. In the last 19 years, 111,000 of our veterans have committed suicide. In a cruel twist of fate, more of our service members are surviving life-ending injuries than ever before. This has contributed to the advancements in body armor technology and the improvements of battlefield medicine. Our soldiers and Marines are able to survive injuries and situations that would have simply killed generations before. That means that more service members are returning home, surviving their injuries, but dealing with mental health and traumatic brain injury scenarios. You would think that the answer would be simple. Simply require all service members to undergo mental health screenings and counseling before returning to their families or units after a combat tour. But this is simply not possible. Happening independently from the rising suicide rate, yet contributing to it, there has been a national... The first theory states that due to the trauma inflicted upon our nation during the events of 9/11, the older generation of mental health providers simply retired. They simply retired, and we were not and have not been able to replace them. We're simply not training enough to replace the ones that left. The second theory is that the millennials in general just have chosen not to go into the mental health professions for whatever reason. Nobody knows. But studies have shown, studies released from the Veterans Administration, show that the millennial generation has simply chosen not to enter mental health professions in the same numbers as previous generations. Third, and it's more of an observation than it is a theory, but our nation's doctors are leaving for Canada and to practice in Canada and other countries because of the prevalence of liability lawsuits. Other countries, almost all Western countries, provide protection to doctors from liability. So our doctors across the board are leaving to practice elsewhere. I personally think it is a combination of all three, or many other factors. 9/11 changed the fabric of this country, and 19 years later, we are still not seeing all of the lasting effects. If I was to tell you all of the factors and independent variables that have led to this epidemic, I think it would take a semester. There are so many variables that are leading to this. But one thing is certain is that it's not just one. It is all of them contributing to the epidemic together. They are creating what's called a perfect storm. And basically that theory states that Our service members are returning home in record numbers, who are needing help with mental health, and they are being met with closed facilities and empty counseling chairs because of the critical shortage in this country. And that is before COVID-19. It will be years before the researchers and historians are able to compile enough data to see how COVID-19 has affected not only the veterans community's suicide rate, but the suicide rate in general. It's theorized that there is going to be a massive increase. And for the veterans community, it's simple. The leading contributing factor to veteran suicide in this country is either physical or mental isolation. If a veteran thinks or believes that they are isolated and they cannot get help, they will return to the one thing they remember how to do, and that is to fire a gun. It's not pretty, it's not pleasant, but the statistics and facts speak for themselves. The 111,000 souls that we have lost in the last 19 years to suicide constitutes an absolute failure of the system that has been put in place to prevent this. Again, if you are a veteran or know a veteran who's currently contemplating suicide, please dial the Veterans Crisis Hotline at 1-800-273-8255 and press 1. And again, if you are a civilian or non-veteran and you accidentally dial this number, you will absolutely get help. Thank you, and have a good night.